So I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the New Canaan Board of Education on Monday, November 21st, 2022, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First thing on the agenda is to review and approve the agenda. Can I get a motion? Bob, second. Penny, all in favor? Okay. Next is approval of the November 7th regular meeting minutes. Can I get a motion? Hugo, second. Brendan, all in favor? Okay. Next, on to comments from the public. To ensure the public's right to be heard, the board has set aside time during the meeting for public comments. 2 minutes will be allotted to each speaker and a maximum of 15 minutes to each subject. Would anyone like to make a public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports and recognition.
Great. I'd like to invite our facilities manager, Dan Clark, and assistant manager, Scott Olson, to the podium here. They've put together a presentation for the Board of Education to give some feedback and an overview on the work that we have been doing this year, the work that was accomplished over the summer, and a quick update where we are with our facilities. We thought that it was a good idea to sort of get a look at where we are, because in the next couple of months, as you know, we'll be developing our requests for capital projects and others for the 23-24 school year. So we'll get a current snapshot, which will help us in our planning and discussion going forward. And Dan and Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity for us to talk to you about our projects. And as Dr. Lutzy said, this is Scott Olson, who is very much responsible for the successful completion of a lot of these projects. So I just want to, and he works on his birthday, which is tonight. So of course I promised him I wouldn't say anything. I couldn't. I couldn't. I had to. So, and it was quite busy, as you can imagine, because they always are. We try to take advantage of any time the buildings are available for us to get there and do whatever we can do. But what I would like to start off, because it's really the most important part, I think, in facilities management, and that is we could do all the work, all the new work, but we also want to make sure we have a plan in place to properly take care of our new equipment, as well as all the existing equipment. So we have a very strenuous preventative maintenance program. For example, HVAC systems, through the summer we shut them down, we clean them, we change filters, we make sure they're operating properly, boilers, all the big equipment, all the major systems, to make sure that we do the best we can to keep them running as efficiently as possible, including our energy management system, which is really the brains behind the operation. From home, which is really important for us to have access from home. So for example, I don't want to predict anything, but if we get 4 or 5 inches of snow, the first thing you do is looking out the window and wondering, geez, if I may have to drive down in snow. But on the other hand, we do have laptops out for the guys, so we could see what's happening in the schools. We could see what the temperatures are. We can see if the boilers are working without leaving our homes. So it's, it's very good to have both, a very efficient maintenance program, as well as capital projects to continue to just improve the quality of our airflow, our energy cost. We try to be as smart as possible. And I know there's some questions about CHPs, which I'll answer in a couple of minutes. So our West School, we wanted to talk about one school at a time real briefly. We replaced the flooring in 2 music rooms, and there's pictures here that back that up. There's one, a second one there too. And we also painted the entire 3rd floor, all the hallways and classrooms. Next was the East School. It's a little bit different. We replaced the flooring in 34 classrooms. And also we painted all the space in 34 classrooms. And I just want to give a shout out to the teachers, because for us to plan this project which is about a 6 month just getting all the logistics figured out. It came down to being able to efficiently empty out all the classrooms, but also in a way that when the job's done and all the boxes have to go back into the classrooms, they're easy to find, nothing's broken, and it's something that we could assist the teachers to do. So they stayed and they packed up their rooms with us and worked side by side with the movers to move things in and out. And we wouldn't have been able to be successful getting this all done. So I just want to let you know that, because there's just so many details, as you can imagine. With 34 rooms, packing up all the toys and the desks and chairs and everything else, then going into their supply closets, because we wanted to get in. Anytime we have an opportunity to take space, we're going to do whatever we need to do. So we did the flooring, we did the painting, we checked the AC systems, everything that we had. So, and the teachers were very happy about the outcome too. So just want to let you know about that a little bit.
Hey, Dan, can you share a little bit about the flooring that we chose and what we put down? Are you going to do that a little bit later, or?
Well, the flooring, the LVT.
Yeah.
So that's become the standard. I'm sure some of you may have it in your homes. It's something that is also, the wear and tear is much improved on the vinyl tile, and it also does not require wax. So that's a really big help too, trying to get all the summer done. And it looks great. It looks great everywhere. So we're very pleased about that. That's the standard now, and you'll see other pictures of it as we go. So there's one of the east classrooms. There's another one. I'm showing the closet that had to get pulled out, but we were able to put the flooring in there as well, since we had the opportunity. Do all the painting, painted the door jambs. And as they say, the teachers were quite pleased. We were too. It was great when you don't have that opportunity all the time to be able to go in and just take care of a whole floor at once. South School? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Scott. Right, some other items while we had the building down was we replaced fire alarm system panels that go out into the school system. And also, when we were doing the flooring up in the classrooms, a lot of them had bathroom fixtures. That was from the original construction, and we replaced all of that too. Thank you, Scott. Yep. Moving over to South School, repaired the asphalt walkway that goes behind the school. There it is. And we also completed the painting projects that we had planned for there as well. Moving over to the high school. So we completed phase 2 of the parking lot pavement. You may remember last year, the town painted the west side, or the main entrance, up and all the way around into the Dunning Field area. This year we replaced all the asphalt down in the back from the gates on the football field off through where the buses are parked. And that should hold us for quite a few years. So hats off to the town for taking care of that and working with us as we were working outside as well. Doing the masonry repair on the building, the shear walls that require a lot of maintenance and care just to take care of them, patching out all the masonry, and also then painting that as well. We also completed the LED lighting replacement entire program, which I think was several thousand light fixtures that we replaced for not only the better quality of the lighting, but just to save the cost. Not only of what we're going to save in energy over the next 10 years, but the avoided cost to have to replace all the existing light bulbs, which were also already near the end of their rated life anyway. So it was a win-win-win. And we had quite, which I don't have the number here, but it was a very nice incentive from the power company as well to help us knock the cost down. And then also, phase 1 of the innovation station. This is in the library. Did a lot of moving around in shelves, taking knee walls down, replacing the floor, and just making it a nice space. And also, really, the good thing for us was most of this was done by in-house people. We don't have a mill shop, so we couldn't make a table, but we were able to do everything else in-house.
And I want to really compliment your guys on that, Dan. by doing it in-house, they did a fabulous job, and the cost was significantly less than it would have been had we had to go out to, bid or bring in an outside contractor. So they worked quickly, it was clean work, and they really did a fabulous job, and it saved us an awful lot. So, thank you.
So besides the one innovation station, also completed the renovation to the makerspace on the other side. And I don't think I have that picture, but we know that the library is very happy about that too. So thank you, Brian. Sachs Middle School, well, we have the first installation of the CHP, which is combined heat and power. We have natural gas that feeds the system, feeds the motor, and provides electricity, much less expensive than what Eversource charges us. And the byproduct for these systems are usually hot water that typically gets plumbed down the drain. But in this case, we capture that water and resend it back to the boiler room for all the returning heat. All the water that's coming back cold after delivering heat to warm up the space, now we charge that pipe with all this hot water that we rescued from the drain. So it's quite a program. We will measure it over the course of the year because we did design the system that if we chose to add a second CHP, we're already repiped, we're prefabbed it'll be a much less cost to do it. But before we even size that out, we want to make sure that it is meeting what the goals were in terms of the savings. The building operates properly with that type of heat, and the entire system and the design is doing the job that it should. So, and I think the only what the prudent thing to do would be to just monitor it and watch it and make sure that it does what we think it's going to do. There's the front of the Sachs School. We had all new flooring from the front entrance through by the auditorium and all the way out the back. And the boilers. These are new condensing boilers. Again, they're very efficient. Instead of the water being dumped down into the drains, they're piped back into the intakes of the boilers, and this way it saves all that. I think it goes from 40 degrees to 80 degrees, so we save that delta over the course of several months, so it's just to give you an idea. And our combined heat and power, this one is actually operating now. This is the first one in the district that we have up and running. And we're going to be watching that too, same thing, because in addition to this and the high school with the lighting, we also replaced all the lighting in this school too. Again, several thousand light bulbs. And we do have the solar system over the cafeteria. So over the time, once we go back up and we start replacing more of the roof, then we can determine what the next step is, if we think that the CHP is something that's required, or we're just monitoring what the power usage is. And to see if it's, you could probably do a design and do calculations and so forth, but I think it's just prudent to actually watch the equipment over the course of the year and see how it performs, see if we are getting the savings that we're supposed to, and then we can make a decision about whether we should proceed with the CHP. So, and then finally, the Sachs again. This is if you've seen that, all that is new, that concrete, right at the main entrance of the school to open up the traffic flow and give the students a nice, clean, and safe access point to and from the school. And this is the back end of it. Any questions?
Does anyone have any questions? Katrina?
So what is the timing of completing the flooring? It looks like south and east are mostly done, and then so west, and then Sachs is about third, would you say?
Yeah, Sachs, and we are putting this in the 5-year plan. And depending on how much we feel that we can honestly do the work, it could be another 2 summers for Sachs by the time we get around the building. Not sure if that answered your question, but.
Well, yeah, just a little more. So the part of it depends upon the building utilization in the summer. because you really have to clean out all those classrooms, the building generally. So with something like Saks, we can phase it and control that way. But we are looking at trying to get an elementary school done or close to done each summer over the next couple of years. And by putting down the LVT, is that what it is? LVT?
Yes.
Yep. Instead of the traditional tile, it's better for the teachers themselves. There's a little bit of give in it, so it's a little more comfortable. It's less maintenance, and it should last 20-plus years, I believe, is the rating on them, right? But it's a little expensive, so we're phasing that in over a couple of years to look at doing an elementary school each year, and then Saks, and ultimately we'll get up here too. We've used it in the libraries, we've used it in some other spots, and it really does lighten up the rooms. I mean, it's really very nice.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Does, I mean, I've seen Saks, and I just want to say it looks really nice. It's fresh and new, and it just changed the environment quite a bit, so thank you.
Thank you.
Penny?
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could give us an update on the solar project at the high school?
I think it's still going through design and final approval of all the fixtures and the fasteners and all that. And that's typically with the structural engineer to make sure that the manufacturer that's providing the equipment is aware of the type of surfaces that we have where they're going to be installed. And to make sure that, you know, they go through things about like wind shear and just the sheer capacity that roofs have, not only with the additional weight because of the equipment, but also you have to put some room in there for snowfalls, you know. I think it's, there's 36 to 48 inches of snow. You have to kind of put a number up there that it could happen, as we know. So all those calculations have to be approved, and I think that's one of the final stages before they'll be ready to go out.
So are you thinking that then, when would they do the installation?
I would say, you know, if they have to order the material, which of course it affects the solar system world too, it could be the end of this year, early January possibly.
Oh, really?
So-
Okay.
So, you know, as they say, if all the materials are ready, that would be the, and I think that we could probably work while the students were in school. If we're going to be over the gym, we could go by their schedule, things like that. So, but we'll cross that when we get to it, the actual implementation.
And Dan, you mentioned it, we were impacted by some delays and some increase in costs, as the rest of the world was with you know, your work. I know over at West, we were looking at propane, and there may be a delay in that, and just, can you speak to that a little bit? And I know we had also budgeted for 3 boilers, or at least 3 schools for the new boilers at 3 elementaries, and the budget's really not going to cover all 3, given the escalation in prices, so we're looking at some solutions around that. And Sean, you may jump in too if you need to.
Sure, we were able to start the project. You know, the most difficult portion of this was excavating in the front of West School and burying the tanks, which we did, and then run the lines up to just outside where the boiler room is. It's on the left side as you face the front of the building. And we are waiting for the contractor that will do the final plug-in. They just have to run piping into the boiler room and connect it up. So, and then we convert the boilers, which fortunately for us, they are able to burn propane, but there are some modifications that have to be done, not costly ones, but it's just, so, you know, we're hopeful on that. But again, and it's hard to predict too. Some of the most obscure parts that you would never think would be a problem could stop the whole job. And maybe some of us have experienced that with other things too, because it hits all trades and so.
Well, I know that was work we were hoping to do over the summer, and it just delayed because of, you know, availability of the tank and the labor and everything else that it takes to do that work. So good that we're getting it in now, because we're going to need the heat. And I know
Yeah.
we have, but the boilers are running on the oil, the diesel that we have over there
Yes,
now with that temporary tank that's there, right?
Right, yeah.
As it relates to the budget, for the 3 elementary school boilers, we had budgeted about 900 plus K. I guess the total of the bid came in close to, I think it was 1.9, so we really only have enough to do one of the boilers at East. And in order to do that, we had to transfer money from, I believe it was South, over to East And that's what we're getting now. We're going to get that done this summer.
And I know you've been working with Ann and the town to use funding from, because they were in 3 separate accounts, so when you say transfer, it's all within the capital.
Transfer, it's all within the same bucket of capital money, and so it was an easy transfer for Ann to make. I think we transferred out of South 208,000 over to East to put us over 500,000, which was the bid amount.
So the other part of that is a lot of times you do have access to the material, but you don't have a contractor that's available because they're all working. It's so busy. And so it's unpredictable. So you have to be really ready and have the backup plan. So, but I think pretty confident that we'll be able to do that, finish up the propane tank, not too much further, so.
Penny?
Then just on the CHP, I know at one point we had talked about, I think, getting OLA to start looking at the high school this year, and maybe going out to bid for a summer project. But what is your, now that we have the installation at Saks, what is your, thinking about what the timeline will be?
I do think I agree with you, the OLA, that would be the way to go, have them engineer. As you know, they've well established themselves here, doing projects all along while I've been here, unrelated to maintenance, but they've done maintenance projects as well. They know the systems really well. They're engineers. They have everything documented. And that was their foresight to say, we should probably at least put the easy tap-offs while we're doing this work. So if we do decide to go ahead with another CHP, then, as I say, the cost will be less and so forth. But I think that we should. I think that that would be the right way to go with that, and have them work on and see what other opportunities.
So now that Saks is running, we'll be able to collect some data, I would imagine, weekly, monthly, to get a sense of how it's performing in the real world versus the calculations and the plans, beforehand. So I'm thinking that we want to get some real world experience with what's over at Saks for at least through the winter to get a sense of things, and then, talk to OLA, have them come out with that feedback and that information in hand in order to start speccing out the high school plan. Is that what you're thinking too?
Yeah, it's a friendly discussion with the engineers that they'll say, well, according to my calculations, which we have utmost respect for, but we're building operators. We really know how it behaves. We know how the existing building behaved before we changed the boilers. So, because you could do the calculations and so forth, which we can't, which we admire. But I think it's a collaboration there makes it so that we're all going to, walk out the door united like this is what we think we should do. Because
Yeah, I think
what
it's
the book
really.
says, what real life says. I think
Right,
that's
and it's
really-
it's admirable to think about the green energy programs that we have at all of our schools, right? So we have solar at just about all of them. We're over at natural gas from 4 of the 5, and now we're going to propane over at West because we couldn't get the natural gas line there. Now the CHP over at Saks as well. And then I know you mentioned the LED lighting changeover, but that really is a significant savings in energy use, right? Because the difference is so great between the compact fluorescents to the LEDs. So I think part of it is understanding what the demand is and how well each of these systems work together on the whole in order to plan forward from there, right? But over the last 5-7 years, we've done quite a bit in sustainability and green energy across all 5 of our schools, and even the propane buses and things like that. So it's been a priority for us as a district, and it'll be good to see these things all operating together over at Saks, see where we go.
Yeah, and there's a lot to it. It's, it's complicated. So it's prudent to do it methodically and observe. That's the best way. And, when you have a team, as I mentioned, we're all not going to really, I don't want to say that we're not arguing, but, there's good discussions to make sure that we, when we walk out the door, we're all united and we could, anything to add to that? You think that that's really that's really the strategy should be. So when you have a relationship with a company like OLA, who really has done a very good job for the district, I think that, we continue with that sort of relationship. And I think that would be the best outcome.
Great, thank you. Thank you for all the seamless projects that you did this summer. It's terrific to see the results.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, I would just say thank you as well. I think this will be helpful for us as we get into budget season as well and start to think about, capital budget, and so thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Next, we will go to statement of accounts.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, for the period ending October 31st, 2022, the operating fund year-to-date expended is $24.9 million, or 25.1% of the budget of $99.1. This compares to $22.7 incurred during the same period last year, and that represents 24.7% of the year-end actual. So we're actually spending slightly more at a faster rate than we were a year ago, 24.7 versus 25.1, but still early to determine if there's anything to worry about at this point, but I don't think there is. In addition, another $64 million is encumbered, mostly salaries and purchase services, and those are primarily in transportation and out-of-district tuition. That $64 million accounts for another 65% of the budget. The remaining unencumbered balance of about $10 million, the other 10.2% of the budget, mostly made up of items that we normally don't fully encumber or encumber at all, such as substitutes, stipends, tutors, overtime, utilities, and hourly employees. Also included in this report is an update on grants, which are on page 7 of the report. The report includes 10 remaining ARP ESSER grants, and all are either fully spent or are being spent down on a monthly basis. Food services on page 9 provides a snapshot of the year-to-date revenue and expense through October 31st, 2022. Total revenue is up $68,000 year to year at $662. That's an 11.4% increase, and mainly attributable to sales. Expenses are also up to $552,000. It's up by $89,000, and driven primarily by higher priced food supplies and other supplies. That makes up 55 out of the 89,000, and the rest mainly due to salary. Facility rentals are on page 11 as well, and are currently $41,000 year to date, and are up year to year by $31,000. Donations are also on page 11, and year to date are at $274,000, also increasing by quite a large margin as well year to year. Finally, summer enrichment, also on page 11, is much improved from last year and is back in the black and marginally profitable. Any questions?
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Thank you.
So next on the agenda is action items.
Yes, we have a donation from the New Canaan Community Foundation for a pilot program. And this is in part thanks to Dr. Susan Bliss, who's been speaking quite a bit with Lauren Patterson over there at the Community Foundation. So I'll just share the foundation granted us a grant from the Touch a Life Fund, which is of $20,000, and the intent of the funds is to help our students who are receiving free or reduced lunches over in our, as you know, we're not in the National School Lunch Program, and we wanted to find a way, or we're piloting a way to provide those students with snacks as part of the lunch as well. Typically in the National School Lunch Program, certainly it's a hot lunch that students are eligible for. We've expanded that as a district. As you know, we're not in that program. We use the same criteria, but we've expanded what's available to students. But we also find that they want the snacks as well. You know, they want the cookie or whatever it might be, and, you know, we wanted to find a way to do that in partnership with the Community Foundation. So we're working through the specific details. We had a meeting on Thursday with Susan and Michelle Santilli from the food service, and the cabinet was there and some others. And we're going to keep talking through the best way to do this. But it really is, money was requested and granted with the students' best interest at heart in order to help those students who could use it the most. We can take that in, and we'll report back to the board exactly what the group is able to come up with and how to implement this. But we'd like to make sure that it touches all students in a positive way, so they can enjoy the snacks during their lunches too.
Can I get a motion to approve a donation of $20,000 from the New Canaan Community Foundation for a pilot program to support students? Motion for Brendan, second. Katrina, all in favor? Okay.
Thank you.
Now we have comments from the public. Would anyone like to make a public comment? Okay, we can move on. Announcements and future business.
Sure. Thank you. So, quick future business or announcement. Of course, Thursday is Thanksgiving, and so we will be traveling to our rivals down the street in Darien to play in the annual Turkey Bowl. I will say that I spoke with somebody in the school system just the other day who asked us to take it easy on them, given that over the last couple of years we have played very well and beaten them. So we'll hopefully perform just as well on Thursday morning, but hopefully people can come out and support the Rams there. As cabinet, we've been meeting all day today, all day tomorrow. We'll meet again on Wednesday with each cost center manager as we're doing preliminary budget work. As you know, the budget starts in October, and even sometimes before, but doing the ground level work, and now we're starting to aggregate that and put all of that together. So we'll continue doing that for the next couple of weeks in preparation for our Board of Ed workshop, which will be the second Monday in December, and keep moving forward. But beyond that, it is a short week, and I'll keep the announcements short as well. Well, thanks.
All right. So next is executive session. So I think, do you want to just touch on what we're going to discuss, and then I'll ask for a motion?
Sure. Sure, yep. As you know, one of the reasons boards of ed can go into executive sessions to discuss security matters, and so we are going to continue our discussion together as a board to share some feedback from a recent audit and to talk about future plans.
Okay, great. So can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing school safety and security matters? Julie, second Bob, all in favor? Thank you.